For the Police Policy Committee, this is a public meeting, subject to public meeting law, and it will be digitally recorded. The deliberation of issues will only be conducted by the Police Policy Committee members unless permitted by the chair. Remember to always state your name for the record. For cases dealing with denial or revocation, only information contained in the staff report can be considered once the staff report is adopted. Assumptions, outside knowledge, or personal experiences should not be included in any discussion. A perceived conflict of interest means that a relationship to any given case has the potential to impact one's decision-making process, even if there is no personal or monetary belief to be gained or benefit to be gained. You ready? Okay, good morning. We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to police policy.
Included, but did include the DCSO unpaid time. It takes, I can't read my brain. Not including unpaid work from La Mesa, but including unpaid work from DCSO. Continue that college transcripts is sufficient in background information to DCSO. He was obviously a very active reserve, did solo work, significant experience, and would want to be a part of part of the hiring process unless it was in a negative experience. Denial, even after information from La Mesa was received, stating, "I don't recall," when asked questions about reserve time. No solid answers other than he did not remember. CV, the written information blaming a third party with educational degrees to schools that were not attended. Also aggravating multiple CVs in the documents, and they're changed multiple times year to year. In a CV, it's possible to make mistakes, but testifying under oath to those CVs is questionable. Review of the Deschutes County District Attorney's report and subsequent Brady designation of Sheriff Vanderkamp. And that experience as a reserve officer was used as a consideration in the field training officer program, but not in the background.
No, not at all. Does that reflect? Capture everybody's? See that?
Mr. Chair.
Anyone have anything that was missed? We'll now open discussion about whether or not there is a moral fitness violation. We have the following options. We can affirm the moral fitness violations that were identified by DPSST, which are dishonesty and misconduct. We can modify, we can make changes, or we can negate, and remove it altogether. So we would call for a motion to affirm, modify, or negate the moral fitness violations as identified in the report.
Kevin Dresser, for the record, I move that we affirm the moral fitness violations that are in the report.
For both dishonesty and misconduct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Livingston, a second.
Thank you.
Right, we are voting on a motion to affirm the moral fitness violations as presented. Chair Nowning.
Aye.
Vice Chair Cotting.
Aye.
Committee Member Barrett.
Aye.
Committee Member Brandenburg.
Aye.
Committee Member Daniel.
Aye.
Committee Member Jovic.
Aye.
Committee Member Dresser.
Aye.
Committee Member Duncan.
Aye.
Committee Member Livingston.
Aye.
Committee Member Lofgren.
Aye.
Committee Member Townsend.
Aye.
And Committee Member Wood.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. We'll now look for a motion to either take action or take no action.
Robin, for the record, I make a motion that we take action. Connie will second.
All right, we are voting on a motion to take action. Chair Nowning.
Aye.
Vice Chair Cotting.
Aye.
Committee Member Barrett.
Aye.
Committee Member Brandenburg.
Aye.
Committee Member Daniel.
Aye.
Committee Member Jovic.
Aye.
Committee Member Dresser.
Aye.
Committee Member Duncan.
Aye.
Committee Member Livingston.
Aye.
Committee Member Lofgren.
Aye.
Committee Member Townsend.
Aye.
Committee Member Wood.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Next, we will call for discussion and a motion regarding the amount of time of the ineligibility period. You want me to go over it, or do you want to?
Chair, I'm happy to, Captain Calvin, for the record, because this includes dishonesty, the recommendation can be up to a lifetime.
If you do make a recommendation, it's just a reminder to, if you pick a amount of time, to follow up with some discussion on why you're picking that amount of time. So we can have a conversation about it.
Livingston, for the record. I'm recommending lifetime. I think that in this line of work and the level of dishonesty and inaccuracies throughout. And then the lack of accountability or any kind of remorse or acceptance of whether he wants to say it's a mistake or not. There's like no ownership for it. It's just basically giving blame back to others. And so I was not moved by any of the mitigating information provided, and the level of dishonesty throughout the years and the testifying in court. I think it just raises to that level in my mind.
Baird, I would second that, and with everything that she said, but with additionally adding that him and or his attorneys took steps to try to keep some of this quiet, up to and including filing a temporary restraining order application against the DCSO to prevent the release of the La Mesa documents regarding some of this stuff. The not signing of the disclosure agreement. So not only were there inconsistencies, accuracies, minimizations, but there were steps taken to hopefully keep some of this from coming out as well.
Public Member Lofgren. I'm just speaking as a public member, in reading through these files, the number of factors that, in a negative sense, gave me a sense that this is not a person who would make me feel safe in my community. This is not someone who I would want to be responsible for law enforcement in my community. It left me with a sense of fear and trepidation, and so I just totally agree that I would not want this person to be in this position.
Thank you. Scotty Downing, for the record, I will agree with what everyone said, but there's several committees and folks here at the Academy who are responsible for weeding out, and we've gone through a lot of procedures to weed out folks who come from other agencies and historically been able to hide their acts at previous agencies, and oftentimes another agency will hire them. And so there's been safeguards put in place legislatively, administratively, and committees that are trying to identify these situations exactly like this, where someone has a history from another state, and there was multiple opportunities to provide that information on multiple different forms, and Sheriff Vanderkamp just did not. And so it did get exposed eventually, and so now here we are. So I agree with what everyone else has said, and if there's no other discussion, we have a motion and a second.
We are voting on a motion for a lifetime ineligibility period. Chair Nowning?
Aye.
Vice Chair Cotting?
Aye.
Committee Member Barrett?
Aye.
Committee Member Brandenburg?
Aye.
Committee Member Daniel?
Aye.
Committee Member Jovic?
Aye.
Committee Member Dresser?
Aye.
Committee Member Duncan?
Aye.
Committee Member Livingston?
Aye.
Committee Member Lofgren?
Aye.
Committee Member Townsend?
Aye.
And Committee Member Wood?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. We're going to take a 5-minute break.